you can save a lot of money. It's absolutely worth it. I can tell you from experience, it is mostly good. Not everything is perfect, but nothing in life is perfect. So, all right, if you clicked on this video, I feel you. I feel your pain. I have been there. I get it. But today I'm going to help demystify shopping on Alibaba for your small business. And I'm going to tell you how to navigate the site, what to look for, what to do, what not to do. And maybe there's some tips and tricks in here that will help give you the courage to dive in. I can tell you from experience, it is mostly good. Not everything is perfect, but nothing in life is perfect. So let's get into it. I started shopping on Alibaba about 9-10 months ago. For me, I was looking for a very specific jar, and it was helping to sort of pull together this brand redo that I did, that I started a long time ago, and then started to roll it out last January of 2024, but it wasn't complete until the fall, I would say October of 2024. And part of the rebrand was having my own custom vessels. I love the black matte jar look. I think it goes with most aesthetics. But the level up that I wanted to do was to also have a gold-plated interior jar. Candle Science sells a jar that's very similar, and that was my inspiration. I think it's such a beautiful vessel. It's really small, and so I used that as my, how can I find something like this? So I went to Alibaba to look for this particular vessel, or if there was someone that could custom make this vessel, and these are the vessels. It's a black matte, like I was saying, with the gold-plated interior. I reuse these are just ones that I use for testing. They're a mess, but they hold up really well to continued candle pouring, burning, testing, cleaning, rinse, repeat. We love to reuse a vessel. So the number one thing you want to look for when you are shopping on Alibaba is to find a reputable manufacturer. And the way that you do that is you look for the trade assurance seal. It looks like this. If a manufacturer is not part of that trade assurance program, move on. So I'm going to walk you through a couple of different scenarios. So let's say, all right, you're diving in, you go onto Alibaba. In the search field, search for what it is you're looking for. And let's say you are looking for a rose gold candle jar or candle vessel. So you could also just look up luxury candle jars, luxury candle vessels. I think jar is more appropriate because that's how they either label these a jar or a can, and that is just the translation that happens. They say cans, which is interesting because it is kind of shaped like a can, right? So you're going to go into your search field. You're going to look for like your specific candle vessel. And I say be specific as you can. You can start broad with like luxury candle jar or like rose gold candle jar, white matte candle jar. And it's going to be super overwhelming because a lot of manufacturers are going to offer something like that. And you're going to see a repeat of the manufacturers as well. The more specific you can get, it will help hone in your search. So it's not pulling in everybody. Once you have your search results, you're going to filter by verified supplier and or trade assurance. So once the search starts populating different manufacturers, you can just start clicking on all of them and they'll open up into a new tab. This is built into the web client, and I strongly recommend that you do your search on a computer. If you use your phone, it still works, but I would say use your phone when you get to like the moderate or advanced Alibaba shopper, because when you're on the laptop or you're on your computer, desktop, it's going to open all those up into a different tab, and it'll just be easier to sort of organize it. Whatever that workflow is for you, that's how it is for me personally. Then I can start closing tabs if I don't like what I see after I go digging into it. All right, so you've opened up all of your tabs. You have all of your trade assurance, verified manufacturers. And I want you to look at the product first. So if the product isn't exactly what you're looking for, close the tab, move on to the next one. Don't spend a ton of time looking at all the pictures if you see something that you don't like or like isn't matching what it is specifically, precisely what it is that you want. So we have a couple of things to look for when you find a potential manufacturer. You're going to look for number of years of experience, and I'm going to put an asterisk here. If they have a lot of sales, I think that's where the asterisk comes into play. Let's say they've only been around for a couple of years, but you'd see that they have maybe 20, 30 orders. And then you're going to go down and look at the reviews, and it's going to tell you whether or not people have had a positive or a negative experience. You are going to look at their reviews and ratings, and this is all that they are trade assurance certified. So that is tick box number 1. How have other customer experiences been? Were they positive? Were they negative? Was it neutral? I think it's really important to take a grain of salt with everything, because we can't possibly know how the transaction went. What we're looking for is, if there was an issue, did they get taken care of? And I think that is the long and short of what we're looking for. When they placed their order and it was received and there was an issue, was it rectified immediately or in a timely manner by the manufacturer? Things to look for are, well, this didn't look anything like this, showed up and it was not matte, it was glossy, or it had marks all over it, or the gold plate was orange instead of gold. All right, they've passed the ratings and reviews check, right? So now we're going to go back up into the product descriptions. How descriptive are they? What is the information they're providing? They should be giving you every single detail. We are also looking for high quality photos and videos. Most of them do. The ones that don't, doesn't mean you shouldn't disregard them, but I think the thing that I have found, the common theme, the manufacturers that really want to be as transparent as possible, they give you all of that information and they all have multiple videos because they want you to see it in action. They want you to see every single thing. They're going to show you the bottom, the inside, the thickness. Those are the ones that I find are the most legitimate. I think videos lend the most legitimacy. And that means they're going the extra mile. They're really putting everything out there to make sure that you have all the info that you need to make an informed decision. Next thing to look for is their communication. Most manufacturers are going to respond to you fairly quickly, even if it's overnight. So keep in mind the time difference wherever you are. Your morning is going to be their night, and your night is going to be their morning. Some of these manufacturers do have automated messages to make sure that even if it's their overnight and they're sleeping, they still want to make sure that you are being taken care of. So I think that's another positive, that they're always thinking about the customer. The next thing you're going to want to filter by is the MOQ, which is MOQ, minimum order quantity. So the MOQ, basically, you just want to make sure that you are filtering MOQs to what is in your budget, basically. So if 1,000 pieces of whatever you're looking for, packaging, jars, isn't within your budget, what is? Is it 100? Is it 200? I have seen more and more over this last 6 months, MOQs they've come down significantly, where they're like, yeah, you only need to purchase 100 jars or 200 jars. Like 1,000% do the 100 or the 200 jars, like especially when you find someone that works for you. And we'll get into how to know if it's good quality here in a second. The other thing, depending upon what your search is, what are their customization capabilities? And so I did have an issue with that with my packaging, which that's a whole nother thing. We will get into it in a little bit further into the video. If you want your logo on the front of the jar, or you want your name or something else, make sure you get loads of examples, real-time examples where they're taking a video on the phone and they're showing you. You need to get all of that and make sure that they have the proper facilities to execute your vision. And you're going to need to ask a ton of questions. How they're doing it, what is the equipment they're using, what is their process to get that customization that you need onto the vessel that they're going to create for you. I know it's a lot. Let's take a deep breath. I think when you break it down into these little buckets and you can check these boxes off as you're going through your search, it makes it a lot more approachable. All right, so we've got a low MOQ here. The manufacturer looks good. They've got some solid reviews. They're part of the trade assurance program. They've been around for a number of years. So what's the next step? I implore you, do not skip this, especially if you are brand spanking new. You have to purchase samples, and you're going to have to purchase samples from multiple manufacturers because they are not all created equal. And sometimes, while it looks great on the video, what you receive is not it. So when I first started and I was reaching out, trying to figure out, who's got what for me, I paid for 3 different samples from 3 different manufacturers. It's going to cost you, and you're going to have to put that into your budget, that you're going to need to pay for samples. And they're going to cost a lot because it costs a lot to make one and ship it to you. Here's a tip that I'm going to give to you. When they give you the estimate, right? It's like, all right, it's going to be $30 for the jar, and then it's going to be another $40 or $30 to ship it. The way you can help reduce that cost is, if you're not in a rush, and if you're shopping on Alibaba, you certainly probably aren't in a rush, ask for them to ship it the slowest way. Because when they have interested buyers, they are overnighting. They are like putting this on a plane and getting it to you in like 5 days, 5 to 7 days. If you can wait longer, ask what their shipping options are. So of the 3 samples, one of the jars was super thin, and it was not it. It was bad. It didn't look that way. It's really hard to tell, and I was not convinced that the jar they sent me was the jar that they showed me in the video. And this is why it's important to get a sample. So I ended up obviously selecting the manufacturer. The other jar was great. It wasn't as matte as I had wanted. It did have looked like a little bit of a sheen to it. We talked through it. They offered to send another sample. I didn't want to spend the money because I already had another one from somebody else. The cost that you will spend on samples is a small, needed investment. It's a small investment to avoid a larger mistake, a larger costing mistake if you don't order a sample and then you get your jars and they're thin, right? And they're terrible. So when you get your samples, just make sure that they have the durability you're looking for, the finish. Things are smooth. There aren't things stuck on the side. If you had it, sprayed in the center, does everything look good? And you just want to make sure that it fits for you. And then it allows you to actually just test the jar. There's no time frame that you have to turn around and be like, okay, this is it, and then, buy the mock or whatever. So you want to order samples. I would say 3 is a great number. If you've got 3 potential manufacturers, that's amazing. I feel like 2 doesn't give you enough data, doesn't give you enough of, are these my only 2 options? Is this going to work? Is this great? So when you are communicating with these folks, remember, English is not their first language. It may not even be their second language, but they are trying so hard to communicate with you and communicate well. You really do have to read between the lines, because sometimes when they say oh, the cans, they're meaning the jar, and you'll get used to someone's speaking cadence or their writing cadence the more that you get to know them, and you just have to fill in the blanks. And if they say something that you do not understand, just keep asking for clarification. There was one situation where I was not understanding, and I was asking Pete, I was like, what are they trying to say here? I don't understand. I just couldn't make heads or tails of it. So I just started to break it up into little pieces. And do you mean this? Are you saying this? We got there eventually, but again, it's just, there is a language barrier there. So definitely expect to encounter a few speed bumps along the way when it comes to that. All right, let's talk about money. I know it can be uncomfortable for some of us. Pricing is so important. And a lot of these times when you reach out to the manufacturer, you're going to give them your budget, right? They're going to want to know up front. Find out what it is. If you tell them, I want 100 jars, I want 200 jars, your price per piece will be higher, obviously, than if you buy 500 jars. And they're always going to try and encourage you to buy more. All these manufacturers, they are vying for your business. They want you to shop with them, and they will do whatever they can to earn your business. All of these manufacturers are willing to negotiate. I have not come across one that was not willing to negotiate. Here's another tip. If you are talking to someone and it seems like you're going to go on your first date and it's going to be great, but you're also talking to someone else or two other people and they give you lower rates. So let's say one person can do $1 a jar, another person could do 98 cents a jar, and the other person can do 97 cents a jar. Go back to the others and say, hey, dollar guy, I can get these for 97 cents. Can you beat that? Go to 98 cent guy. Hey, I can get these for 97 cents. You know, because now you have this quote in hand and they're going to try to match it, or they're going to try to beat it. All right, we'll do it for 95 cents. You know what I mean? So that is another tool that you have at your advantage because they want your business and they know they are competing with hundreds of other manufacturers to earn your business. Negotiate, negotiate, negotiate. You as the buyer have all of the power. Once you negotiate your pricing, make sure it is everything from top to bottom. That is any extra cost, sales tax. You may get that sales tax when it comes in here. However, if you have your tax exempt certificate, you can just shoot that over to them and you will not get charged any sales tax. Make sure you get that to them if you qualify. If you're a small business owner and you are filed, you've got all of your paperwork in order, there's no reason you do not have that because you are not a reseller. You are your own manufacturer. You are creating candles, perfumes, whatever it is, right? So you want to make sure you're confirming the shipping costs, what those production timelines are. Does it work for you? Is okay, it's going to take us 2 weeks, it's going to take us 2 months. Like, make sure you have all of that in writing, and it will also be in the contract that you'll sign when you go to leave your deposit. You have to talk about your payment terms up front as well. What is the expectation? Do they want like 10% down and the rest when it's done? Do they want 50% now, 50% later? That's all negotiable. And again, depending upon your budget, like if you're waiting on some funds or if you have some funds now, you know, you pay what you can, but just be very clear about how much you want, how many vessels or whatever it is that you're buying. Let's say we're buying rose gold vessels that have your logo on the front. Just 100% clear. I want 200 pieces. Okay, they're going to be how much? All right, they're going to be $1 each. You know, I'm just making these numbers up. This is the shipping. Okay, well, we can get it to you in 4 weeks if we fly it part of the trip and then we bus it the rest of it. You know, all of these things you'll need to talk about. And you'll do something else to discuss prior to signing on that dotted line is ask them how they ship your vessels and ask them to show you, and they will. They'll send you a video because they're shipping orders, whatever, they're shipping vessels. Ask them how they're packaging your jars and make sure you're comfortable with it. So if they're packaging them in a way that they're gonna slam against each other, or there's gonna be a high possibility that 20% of them arrive damaged, have that conversation and ask to see. And just, you know, talk about your fears, your concerns, like, I've never purchased before, it's coming from so far away. Have these questions written down, have them ready to be asked, and just start the dialogue with your manufacturer to make sure that you feel comfortable. And do not sign on that line until they can show you how they package. If they can't show you how they're packaging, that is a red flag. They should have already shipped at least a couple orders before you, right? If you've done your due diligence, you know they've been around for X number of years, they've done X orders, they will already have these things because they will have documented it for their other customers. Okay, you've placed your order, you're so excited to get these vessels, you've given your deposit, you know that it's coming. What next? Well, I put on my calendar little reminders. I would check in once a week just to make sure everything was going according to plan, see how everything was going. Also, they are going to be communicating with you as well because they want to make sure that you don't feel left out in the cold, so to speak. One of the manufacturer that I chose, he sent me the first videos and pictures when the first batch of these came off the line. I absolutely appreciated that. So let's talk about what red flags to look out for. So I think the most obvious one, and this is anywhere in life, in business, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. And that includes a ridiculously low price for a jar, right? And I'm not talking like just custom. I'm talking about, you know, you have a low mock and they're like 35 cents a piece for these vessels. Like, that doesn't sound right. How are you making money? How are they making money if you're buying 35-cent vessel? You know what I mean? Like, that just doesn't make sense. So make sure that it makes sense. So like if you were to buy, and this is probably a crazy example, if you were to buy an Aura vessel on Makesy, let's say those are like $8 a piece, and they're selling them for 50 cents, come on. You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense. And if you're unsure or that little thing in your stomach is like, ugh, listen to it, because that is your intuition and it's telling you that something is wrong. It's okay. You can back out at any time. And I will talk about backing out in a second, because even when you paid your deposit, you can still back out. All right, another red flag to look for is bad communication. You know, like I was saying earlier, English is not their first language, but communication is still at the forefront of this is how we're doing business. It's all digital. This is how we communicate. Though I will say some suppliers do like to call. Like, I still get calls from manufacturers because they want my business, you know? So they're still checking in because I had reached out at one time. And maybe I didn't make a purchase, but they're still reaching out because they want me to know that they're still thinking about me, and they're still like, we're here to help you in case it didn't work out with whoever you went with. So, okay, you've placed your order, you're so excited to get these vessels, you've given your deposit, you know that it's coming. What next? Well, I put on my calendar little reminders. I would check in once a week just to make sure everything was going according to plan, see how everything was going. Also, they are going to be communicating with you as well, because they want to make sure that you don't feel left out in the cold, so to speak. One of the manufacturer that I chose, he sent me the first videos and pictures when the first batch of these came off the line. I absolutely appreciated that. All right, poor communication. This isn't, you know, having trouble with English, understanding English, speaking English. I'm talking like being vague. They're not being as communicative, or they're evasive about answering your questions. Just go. Like, it's not even worth your time. Just bail. Just get out of there. All right, this is another red flag that is not super common. And I've talked to over 40 different manufacturers for both JAWS and custom packaging. And that is, they don't offer samples. Red flag. Why not? I want to test the goods, you know? That is a super red flag. If they can't get you a sample, or it's going to cost like $200 for a sample, bye. Goodbye. All right, I'm going to give you a scenario here. You have selected a manufacturer. They are trade assurance verified. You sent 50% over as your deposit for 200 rose gold vessels that they're going to put your logo on. Great. A week goes by, you haven't heard anything. You touch base. Oh, it's our weekend. We're having a holiday. I'll get back to you next week. Okay, great. But then you don't hear back from them. And then you don't hear back from them. And then you hear back and they're like, oh yeah, it's going. Things are happening. But you're starting to feel like uneasy. Like, communication has slowed down considerably. They're not really reaching out to you. And now let's say fast forward, it's been 6 weeks and you don't have anything. They should be pulling samples off the line to show you what your jaw looks like, because they cannot move forward until you approve the sample. If it just on a video, they're not going to send you another one because you've already seen, you know, what the jaw is, but they should absolutely be touching base and showing you, here's what it looks like, here's what it looks like with your logo on it, etc., etc. It is in your right, and this will be all in your contract. You can cancel the order and receive 100% of your deposit back. You are not obligated to move forward, especially when they are not delivering, they are not communicating, and it is all like very regimented every step of the way. If you are not purchasing from a manufacturer that is trade assurance verified, you could be SOL. So that's why if anything were to happen, you are covered, you will get your money back, and it will come back fairly quickly. All right, so I've shared my experience with the jaw. I found a manufacturer, he's super great. We have our own style now of like how we communicate. So you build a rapport with these folks, and you know, they are basically part of your candle family now, right? You're purchasing these supplies, and they'll touch base. And so he has always touched base with me since I made that first sample purchase, and then, you know, we went ahead and ordered. Let me tell you about the journey of that. The first time I ordered, I liked the sample. I didn't want to go crazy because I wanted to know what that shipping process would be like. I placed an order of 200. That was their mock, was 200 vessels, and I was like, all right, let's do the 200. Let's see how it goes. And I'm just going to fast forward to the end here. I got them, and I would say there were only like, I don't know, maybe 8 that were broken of the 200. It was all packaged exactly as they said it would be packaged. I'm going to show you. So all of the jars were wrapped in styrofoam and a plastic band and inside its own jar. And then they were all in between styrofoam packed, you know, like this. They said how many were broken, and they just refunded me. No questions asked. They didn't even ask for pictures. Like, it was super easy peasy, and I appreciated that. So as we've gone on, and okay, we're moving on, and I said, you know, the next step in the growth of our business is we want to offer a larger size candle jar. So we have the 8.5 ounce, and this one I just showed you here holds 11.6. But they didn't make those at that time. So this is the juicy guy. It's the little guy, juicy guy. So freaking beautiful. So at that time, I said, hey, you know, do you do this? And they said, no, we can't make a jar that big. And I was like, all right, well, if anything changes, let me know. So I kind of put a pin in that for a bit, just focused on other things that we're trying to do for the business. And then he reached out and said, hey, did you still want bigger jars? He said, do you still want bigger cans? I was like, I do want bigger cans. He reached out and said, we can do that large vessel size that if you want. But again, I said, if you can do the big guys, I will order more little guys and we'll order 500 of the big guys. So let's do 500 and 500. Let's just get them all together. And they were like, awesome, fantastic. I just appreciate that. They couldn't do it, but then they could do it. And so keeping you in mind, keeping you on their client, whatever it is, you know, like I said, they're going to try and make all of your dreams come true. They're going to try and help you get what you need, get the custom specific jar that you need. So they have been so wonderful to work with. I haven't engaged any other jar suppliers because I have my guy now, you know. We have an established relationship, an established rapport. Like I was saying, I trust them. And not only do I trust them, they doubled down on me trusting them because when I ordered all of these vessels, it was a bit chaotic. Quite a few arrived broken. It looked like one of the boxes was used as a basketball. So I was pretty shocked. It wasn't anything that they did. They packaged them the same. Everything was in there. But it just looked like who handled it once it got out of their hands. Sent him some pics and he was like, say no more, fam. Just tell me how many. I told him how many and he refunded me for the price per jar. So the other thing that I ordered and worked with a supplier on, or manufacturer on, was custom packaging for my jars. So I had a vision of what I wanted my packaging to look like, and I was very specific. I engaged, oh gosh, I want to say well over a dozen, almost 2 dozen different manufacturers to get exactly what I wanted. And I would say most of those things broke down because they couldn't do it, which is fine, or they didn't understand. And so it was just so difficult to just get out of the gate, even with pictures and like diagrams and things like that. It just wasn't, it just didn't work out. And that is okay. Just cut your loss and go. It's just a conversation, thank them for their time and move on to the next person. So I'm gonna show you, this is my packaging here. This is basically like a faux, like vegan leather. So my inspiration was a jewelry box. I want this to feel so dang special. when you get it or if you gift it and someone opens this up and it is like, so let me just show you. This is amazing. It is so, and you see we've got the logo here. So inside here, they also have like a custom, it's like a cut piece. So the jar fits snugly in there. And then it has the full golden, oh, it smells so good. Oh my God, it smells so good. That's my Santal and coconut candle. It's so good. Anyway, so when someone gets it, I just wanted this, to have this experience. Like it's so dang special. It's so gorgeous. It feels really nice. And then the candle with my logo here. Absolutely love it. I love it. I just think it looks so stunning. So having someone execute on this very specific vision was not easy. And I hit a lot of roadblocks trying to get this done. I was going to go with someone else. I ordered samples from them, from him. And this one, this looks even better than the sample. I'm going to show you. This is the original sample. It is kind of like a craft style box. This still looks really nice, but it's not luxury to me. The difference here is that there was only gold around the top, whereas this one, the gold is all the way around the inside. I don't know if you can see. Also the size difference. This is just so ghastly big. So what's great about, again, getting a sample is you're able to tweak and see it and probably touch it, make sure the jars fit, like see what it is feeling like, regardless of all of the back and forth and the diagrams and the detail and the dimensions and everything. Midway through production, when they pulled the first sample and he sent me the video, the lid just came off. It didn't open. It was two pieces. And I was like, oh, no. It has to, it's attached. It has to open. And so that was a whole thing that put us on a delay. They had to go back and like make it so that it was attached, which involved an extra cost. A couple cents more, fine. Let's keep going. They go back to the drawing board. They get it up. They've got it. They pull the sample. They send it. It opens, it's great, yeah, yada, yada, yada. But on the front, it has my old business name. And I don't know how they got that because I never used it with this company before. It said Couture Candle Company. And I was like, I'm not Couture Candle Company. Also, the font was wrong. And so I'm looking at it like there's a lot of things happening that I'm like, oh no, like I'm getting that stress pain in my stomach. And so I told them, you know, the font is wrong, and they asked me to send the font again and my logo again, SVG file, blah, 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 blah. This is where it started to break down, and I realized, oh my God, I think they blew smoke up my ass because I don't think they can execute on putting it on there. And I'll tell you why. They just could not sort out how to get my SVG file into their printer. And that was a huge red flag. And we're already so far in here. Now, I could have pulled the plug. I have the trade assurance. I was ready to pull the plug because they just kept sending me pictures and videos and it was the wrong font. And here's why I wanted to pull the plug. I said, that is not my font. That's my logo, but like, where's the file? How is the file that I sent you not getting on the packaging? He's like, oh, I don't think I have it. And I was like, you have it. And I like found it in our chat, replied and said, you have it. And he's like, yeah, the designer just picked a font. And I was like, he's like, it's okay. And I was like, no, it is not okay. One, you don't just pick a font. Like when your designer said, hey, I don't have what I need, how come they didn't reach out so that I could just give it to you again and then you could do it? He didn't have an answer, but he blamed me and then he blamed the designer. And then when I pointed out that he was wrong, he was like, okay, we'll fix it. It was not great. And I didn't appreciate that. And that continued to happen because they were just having an issue putting my file into their printer. I don't know. And then I realized they've never done this before because what they were saying, and I've worked in digital media, I've worked in print media, I realized that they didn't understand just the technical spec of pulling that SVG file into their printer software. It was bonkers. I like had to talk them through how to do it. It was bad. It was bad, you guys. And it delayed me. We're supposed to have this packaging done in August. I didn't receive it until first week in October. And I was supposed to launch in the first week of October. So it delayed our fall candle launch because I then had to scramble. Like everything was getting done. Like I was just waiting on them. But now I have to photograph it. I have to weigh everything, put it on the back end for Shopify shipping, blah, 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 blah. It was not great, and I was so frustrated. And I was saying, you need to ship these faster. Like, what can you do to make up for this? Like, what can you do to get it to me? Because we lost about 6 weeks, and that is pretty significant. The fact that they totally biffed it, they really screwed it up, and it was awful. And I was just trying so hard to like have patience, and I was like, I said to Pete, let's just pull it. Let's just go somewhere else, and we just don't have the packaging. Bless this man and his patience, and he said, we've come so far, we can fix it. Like, we can get it to where it needs to be. Like, have some patience. Let's just, you know, just get it done. And I was so stressed out about it. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I was sick to my stomach over it. Being delayed, not great. But you know what? It got here. And when it finally got here, my God, some of those boxes had been through it. And some of these boxes were taped, but they were still busted open. And I was like, so then we had the painstaking process of opening them all up and inspecting them all. And I think it was 100 and something of them were completely crushed, like unusable. Others, you know, when I got them, they were in fine shape, but some of them weren't put together well. There was like glue coming out the corner. Like there was just glue and like it was just a mess. And I was very unhappy. That was sloppy on the manufacturing side. I reached out with loads of pictures and just saying how unhappy I was. Look at this mess. And he said, okay, tell me how many you need and I will ship them to you. Like I will pay for shipping. Don't worry about it. I'm like, I'm not worried about it. But sure, instead of getting a refund for all the damaged boxes, I wanted him to send me the proper number of the ones that were damaged. And also, not just damaged, but the ones that were put together like really shittily. I wasn't happy with the craftsmanship. And so I think that's the thing that really got him to be like, okay, so that's all fine and good, but they were in no rush to send that. And honestly, they just arrived. So it was like 3 months. I'm not in any urgent need. I don't need them. I just wanted it done to be done with it. I'm disappointed from that. I mean, here's the thing. The boxes are freaking stunning. They're gorgeous. But I had to go through them all to make sure that they were put together well. And so the fact that they didn't take responsibility right away and they blamed me, like, oh my God. That was a bummer. And so it makes me not want to purchase from them again because I don't know what I'm going to get. And I also don't appreciate that you're blaming me for your, like it doesn't make any sense. From the process with the font and saying, oh, you didn't send it to me. I'm like, it's right here. Of course I sent it to you. I don't feel inclined to reorder from them. I know it sucks because I'd have to go through the whole process again. People tell me like the hot pot is over, but like, right, the hot pot is over, but the craftsmanship wasn't 10 out of 10. I don't want to have to go back and forth again like, well, these boxes are good, but then like 50 of them were crappy because there's glue and blah, blah, blah. So also it took them so long to make it right. And I don't love that. And I went through my whole checklist that I went through with you here in this video and everything was fine. So I guess there was no way to know. They were very eager to get this project done for me. And they did deliver at the end of the day, but it was not without stress. Another thing I want to mention about the jar supplier is when I told him I was having someone else do the custom packaging, he shipped them my 2 jar sizes so they could custom fit the inside, the insert. I am so grateful. Again, that's like exceeds expectations, went above and beyond to provide some excellent customer service. Do your research. Be cautious, take your time, and you can have a successful Alibaba shopping experience. You can find a great manufacturer or manufacturers depending upon how many items and what you're looking for. I will continue to shop on Alibaba. It's been great. It saves me a ton of money. It really helped reduce my COGS. Also because I got the job that I wanted. I wouldn't have been able to do this style, this color palette, if I didn't do it custom. And I want to tell you, the difference in the packaging, the price, outsourcing to Alibaba and doing it here in the US was like $15,000 to $18,000 difference. I'm not even kidding. And I got more from Alibaba than I could have ordered if I'd stayed in the US. And that is a lot of cheese. That is a chunk of cheese. Like, that is so much money. $15,000 to $18,000. Like, are you kidding me? That is the price difference between what we paid and what we were being quoted if we stayed in the US. Have you shopped on Alibaba? Please share your experience below. I would love to open up the comments for everyone to share, good, bad, or indifferent. I think it's really important that we destigmatize shopping on Alibaba. If you didn't know, most of the things that you buy on Amazon are already coming from China. Most of the things that you buy from Amazon are also coming from Temu. I have ordered the same thing on Amazon and on Temu just to compare when they got in. They're exactly the same, down to the box, down to, you know, all the inserts, everything that is included, they are the same exact product. So all we're doing when we shop on Alibaba, when we shop on Temu, is we're cutting out the middleman. This is definitely food for thought if you've ever, you know, kind of sneered at like, oh, I would never, you know, do business with China or whatever. Most of the things in your home were made in China. So cut out the middleman, save some money. If you have any questions, anything I didn't cover in this video, I was trying to cover everything that I could think of. I made a list here, a bullet list of like all the things that I wanted to talk about, best practices, tips, things that have happened. But if there's anything that I missed, leave your question down below and I'm happy to come through. As you know, I'm always here to chat. Have you been considering shopping on Alibaba? Have you already? What was your experience, good, bad, or indifferent? Leave it down below. I would love to know. And I know everyone that is watching this video will go into the comments because they're going to want to know too. The TLDR, if you like skip to the end of this video, I 100% recommend shopping on Alibaba. So long as you follow my list of best practices, what to look for, you know, a couple of my tips, and definitely keep an eye on those red flags. We can only do so much to try to prevent, and sometimes things just happen, but it all worked out in the end, and I'm very happy. Listen, if you hung in for this video this long, thank you. I really appreciate you carving out some time in your day to spend with me, hang out with me, and talk about shopping on Alibaba. All right, you guys, until the next one, I appreciate you so much, and I'll see you then. Bye.